Welcome to The Outlet, an OTG production.
Up NBA fans, I'm Nick Fay. With me as always, Parth.
Hey Nick.
What's up, Parth? Happy belated Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you too. How was it? Did you Black Friday shop?
I'll tell you, I ate a lot of food. The Packers lost, so I wasn't too happy. But my girlfriend did buy me 2K on Black Friday, so can't beat that.
Dude, have you played it yet?
Nope, don't get it till Christmas, so I'll have to wait.
Oh, it was an early Christmas present. So I already have 2 pairs of basketball shoes just like laying around that I play in. So I went to Ross. Do you guys have Ross? I know we have one here, but is that
I don't have a Ross around
kind of?
I don't have Ross around me. I'm not sure about the rest of New York though.
Okay, so I went there with my cousin to buy some watch that she wanted and that her dad wanted. So I was like, all right, man, if I'm going to be here, if I have to go, I'm going to look at the shoes. And terrible idea, because they had a new pair of Chris Paul 8 AEs and some pink Hyper Rev 2015s. And I think they were both like $50. I was like, damn, I need to buy them. So long story short, I bought them, and now I have 4 pairs of basketball shoes, and I don't even play that much basketball anymore.
Hey, you hooked yourself up with an early Christmas gift right there.
Yeah, man. I don't know if I should have bought those, but the price was way too good.
You got good value. If this was fantasy, would be good.
Yeah, for sure.
But we had some big news break yesterday. Kobe Bryant announced that he's going to retire at the end of the season. What were your initial thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm happy for him. I feel like he's the kind of guy that is going to try to outwork himself, outwork anyone else, or work harder than anyone else just to play, just to continue to play. But obviously, as we've seen this season, his body just isn't working for him. He just doesn't have the legs anymore, and he's had so many injuries and played so many minutes. I think Mitch Kupchak said this. It's like surprising that it took his body this long. That's just a credit to how hard Kobe works off the court and stuff we don't see in terms of preparation for games, that he's been able to survive and thrive this long.
Yeah, his work ethic is crazy. That's why he's been around so long. I'm happy for him. At least he knows he needs to go out. Things aren't going well. I think he'll do something nice at that. After his career's over, he'll find something, because he's just that kind of guy. He just works so hard. He'll work hard at everything he does.
I really hope he does some sort of television, like a studio analyst for TNT or NBA TV or something. I hope he's not on ESPN. By God, I hope he's not on ESPN. That'd be terrible. But I hope he's on TNT, or I hope he does something for HBO or Showtime in terms of making documentaries or doing something like that. Because he did. I think I read a quote where he wants to storytell after his playing career. So I know last year his documentary on Showtime was incredible, very well done. Kept me on the edge of my seat the entire time watching it. So I hope he does something along those lines.
Yeah, even his press conference last night was definitely interesting. Check that out if you haven't listened. But What's your favorite Kobe Bryant moment?
You know, I miss Kobe from early 2000s, the number 8 Kobe. That's where I have the most of my Kobe memories. I don't remember too much of Kobe in the finals. I was a little too young to really understand what was going on. I do remember him making that shot in Game 2 against the Pistons. They ended up losing that game. Or no, they won that game, but he hit some like 40-footer or something like that. But I'm going to go with my favorite memory is first round, 2000, I believe it was 2006. And that entire playoffs was incredible. But it was the game against Phoenix. I think it was game 5 that put him up 3-1. I don't remember which game it was, but it was the game in which Smush Parker gets a steal against Steve Nash on the baseline. I think Devin George ends up getting the ball and gives it to Kobe, and he does like a an early Euro step and hits a floater from the baseline to tie the game. And then last play of overtime, I believe, it's a tip ball and Kobe gets to the elbow and rises up and shoots. And they were in the Laker whites at home and the crowd goes insane. So, and then he pulls his shirt over and points to his chest and screams. Yeah, that's that. I know they ended up losing that series, but that was by far my favorite Kobe moment.
Honestly, I was thinking about picking that as my moment for Kobe as well, because that was just great. You just had the feeling that he was going to win that game. I remember watching with my dad. I was like, yo, Kobe's going to hit this shot for sure. And there you go.
At that time, I was just old enough to understand what was going on, the magnitude of the moment, and old enough to remember it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these memories I'm sure I've had, but I've just forgotten just because I was a little too young. But that's easily my favorite Kobe memory.
I'm going to go with the 81-point game against Toronto. It's just like, how many guys can you see do that? And I was able to watch that game. I watch the highlights all the time. I watched him before we did the show. He was able to attack from all over the floor, hit his free throws, attack the basket, float around, and Toronto really had no answer for him.
I know Jalen Rose didn't have an answer for it. I'm just kidding. I mean, Jalen Rose is I don't know if proud is the correct word to use, but he embraces being a part of history.
Yeah. I mean, you got to enjoy that game.
The crazy thing is about that is that was on a Sunday, I believe. And no one really watches basketball on Sundays, and it was during the NFL season. But I remember Scott Van Pelt was hosting that Sports Center, that late night Sports Center after all the games, and they led with Kobe 81. They didn't lead with NFL football, which goes to show how big time that performance really was.
Do you think anyone will ever come close to passing it?
I think it's just too difficult. I don't know. I feel like someone like a Durant or Curry could do it, especially Curry, just because
one of those.
His shooting is so effortless and he can shoot from anywhere. But if Curry's scoring 50, 60 points, his team is probably blowing the other team out. It would have had to happen in a game like they had against the Clippers where they're down 23 points. Because that's the same situation Kobe was in against the Raptors at that time.
Yeah, he was down most of the game.
He had to score that much to bring them back. They ended up winning by a wide margin just because Kobe was unstoppable. But they were down by a lot, and Kobe had to carry the team back into the game. So I can see Durant or Curry doing it, but it has to be in the right circumstances. They both have to get into the zone, and they have to be down by a lot in order to lead their teams back. Because if they're up, like we've seen with Curry, if they're up by a lot in the fourth quarter, if his team is up, the coach isn't going to pull them.
Yeah, that's what I think makes it so tough. If you have a player nowadays scoring like 50 or 60 points, there's a good chance their team's winning. They're probably going to come out of the game. But let's talk about this week on OTGbasketball.com. We released our monthly power rankings. So what were your initial thoughts on our rankings?
First of all, I love the way they look.
Thank you.
It looks nice. I would say I'm not too surprised. The one thing I am surprised about, though, is Dallas. Not because I disagree with their placement, but I just didn't think they would be in the top 10 at this point. I thought Dallas was free falling after their offseason, but they've done really good so far this year.
Yeah, they definitely impressed me too. I'm surprised they're this healthy early on, especially Wesley Matthews. I think Parsons is still only playing like 20 minutes a game, but they've gotten some good play from Darren Williams and Zaza Pachulia.
Dude, you know who's
been
resurrected is Raymond Felton.
Oh yeah,
he's been really good. I remember a Dallas Clippers game a couple weeks ago, and Chris Paul was playing in it. Raymond Felton was playing in it. Darren Williams was playing in it. This is like 2005 NCAA basketball, back when I used to love college basketball. Just reminded me of those days. So happy to see Raymond Felton in shape and back and making an impact for Dallas.
Yeah, this is definitely the best he's played in years. Any team you think that we rank too low or rank too high?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Denver is Denver's a very bipolar team. They could be really good one day, and then I think the other day they had 4 points in a quarter or something like that.
Yeah, I think they scored 5 points in the third quarter on like Saturday night.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So I don't mind Denver's 25 ranking. Portland at 26. They started out really well, and then they've really cooled as of late. But they're a fun team to watch. Houston's another surprise. I thought they would be way higher than 22. Their defense stinks, and Harden's been he's been good, but he hasn't been as efficient, and he hasn't really played much defense.
And Ty Lawson really hasn't given him much at all.
What is going on with that situation? Patrick Beverley looks way better suited to fit in at the point guard spot with James Harden playing the 2 than Ty Lawson does.
Yeah, it's definitely surprising they're doing. It looks like they might be starting to pick it up, so keep an eye on them.
Another interesting thing is New York and Los Angeles, I thought, had similar off seasons in terms of not getting a big player, but getting decent enough role players for them to be competitive. And it's worked out for New York. They've been competitive. They're on a 4-game losing streak, but it's not like the games have really gotten away from them. But LA is the Lakers have like been surprisingly bad. I didn't think they'd be great, but I didn't think they would be this bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it depended on Kobe, and as we can see, he really
right. We did say that.
So there's only 2 teams in all the rankings that agreed on. I think we had like 8 to 10 writers working on this. And number 1, the Golden State Warriors, and number 30, the Philadelphia 76ers.
Everything else was
a little bit
different.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm good with the top 5. I don't know if Miami should quite be there. I'm a Miami fan saying that, but their defense is for real. Their offense, they are still trying to figure out. So I mean, they've had, I think, the last 7 or 8 games at home. They had a big homestand, and now they face teams like, I think this week they have the Thunder and the Cavs. And I think the Cavs are at home, but they're at OKC. So we're gonna find out a lot about this Miami Heat team, at least the December version of the Heat, this week and upcoming. They have a tough. I think their next 8 games are against quality opponents. So we're about to find out a lot about this Heat team.
It'll be a telling stretch. One team, I mean, I think I would probably boost up a little bit, but that's probably a little bit after the last 2 games they played, is the Pacers. They've been playing really well this season. So is Paul George.
Did you happen to catch the Indiana-Washington game last week? I want to say it was like last weekend or Friday night or something like that.
Crazy percentage from 3, right? CJ Miles was like on fire. Yeah, I was watching like good chunks of that game.
Man, it was incredible. I think that was the first game on that night. So I was just tuned into it. And it kept me from switching to any other game. I watched the entire game, and Paul George was incredible. CJ Miles was incredible. Just lights out from 3. Like, they were shooting. I don't know if Steph and Clay have shot that well together in a game. I'm sure they have, but these 2 were shooting lights out. That's how good they were. You can compare them to Steph and Clay in terms of proficiency in the 3-point shot. It was incredible. Like, the Wizards were in the game too, but the good shooting just didn't stop.
Yeah, and they were playing some all right defense on some of the plays. I think at one point I looked at the stats in like the 4th quarter, and the Pacers were shooting over 70% from 3.
I think those 2 went like 17 for 19 from 3. CJ Miles and Paul George. And Paul George, welcome back, man. He's been my best small forward in the league through the first 5 weeks of the season.
Talking about Paul George, that puts us right into fantasy, because Paul George is the player I want you guys to take a pick on, because he's been great scoring points, picking up assists, rebounding, filling out the stat sheet. Also, some guys to keep on. Another small forward, Gordon Hayward. He's been hitting 5 times his value over the last 5 games. So that's something you'd always want in your lineup. 5 times is what you're aiming for. So Gordon Hayward, nice pick there. Another guy to keep an eye on, if DeMarcus Cousins is still out, I would definitely pick up Costa Koufis because you can get nice value right there. He picks up a good chunk of minutes. He picks up nice rebounding, a few points there, some blocks. Then also keep an eye out for Clint Capella. The Rockets have been starting him in the lineup with Dwight Howard, and he's been proven to get fantasy points. So that's another guy I like.
He had 40 points, 40 fantasy points last night, I believe. 40
Yeah.
plus.
So exactly, you got to keep an eye on guys that are getting the starting lineup, guys that are injured. I know this past week Zach Randolph was out a lot, so keep an eye on that as well.
Do you win any money this past week on FanDuel?
Well, I live in New York, so FanDuel actually does not work anymore, but DraftKings is still up. So I've been playing a little bit of DraftKings. I haven't won anything big. I've been just getting my money back or a little bit of change. So no big hits this week. Hopefully they're coming though.
Yeah, I'm just getting into daily fantasy, and actually through you. So thanks for that. Thanks for making me a gambling addict.
No problem.
And this past week, I think I was down to like $1. I bet I had like $7, and I did two $3 entries for like a $600,000 total prize pot or whatever, and I ended up winning $11. So it got me back to where I can actually bet some more money now because I've been just losing and losing. So
You're just hanging on. You're back alive.
Yeah, I'm just hanging on. It's like that
one
false
big
sense
hit.
of hope. Like, man, I probably should have quit, but because I got this $11, I guess I'll continue to play.
It's like you have to use it after you win. There's no option.
Do you know when FanDuel comes back or if it will come back in New York? Because I find that interesting that FanDuel isn't working in your area, but DraftKings is.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's their decision because and FanDuel decided not to do it, but DraftKings says they're just going to roll with it until the final decision from the court. They actually had court, I think, this past Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and the decision's supposed to come, I think, in a couple weeks. So,
okay, gotcha.
I think it'll be a big story because FanDuel and DraftKings said about like 10% of their customers come from New York, so that'll be a big hit.
Yeah,
and I think
that's huge.
FanDuel offices are in New York City, so another interesting thing too.
Man, FanDuel and DraftKings have really blown up this year.
Yeah, you can tell by all their ads on TV.
Oh my God, they're like running out of promo codes, and some of the promo codes are so random. Like, they would have like chicken, chicken to get $5 off your whatever. Like, oh my God, like you guys are running out of stuff to say. Too many commercials.
I know, especially on Sunday when you're watching football. Like, there's every commercial break, you're guaranteed to see a FanDuel or DraftKings commercial.
Yeah, football is huge with daily fantasy commercials. And baseball was huge with, I noticed during the baseball playoffs, they're huge with Viagra and Cialis commercials. I found really funny. And Katie Nolan made a point on Twitter to point that out. Yeah. She didn't quite say Cialis or Viagra. She didn't mention the two, but she definitely said, "Oh, baseball is like a boner commercial heaven." There's something Katie Nolan. She's so funny.
I'm not surprised there. That's their target market, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Let's get on to games of the week. Last week we agreed on a lot, and I got one game incorrect, and you got two games incorrect. You missed Detroit at Milwaukee. I believe it was at Milwaukee. And then Toronto at Washington. We both picked Washington, and Corey Joseph said, "Nuh-uh, we're going back to Toronto with this win." So that puts you at 11-5, and me at 13-15. So games of the week for this week leads off tonight, Monday, November 30th at 8 on NBA TV. The Spurs at the Bulls.
The Spurs at the Bulls. That's going to be a good game. I'm going to go with the Spurs. I like the way they've been playing. I think they just blew out the Hawks this past weekend, so I'll go with the Spurs. Yeah,
they did just blow out Atlanta this past weekend, which is I should have watched that game. I didn't watch it. I don't know why. I wonder what I was doing. But I'm going to go with Chicago at home. I believe it'd be an upset. But in our power rankings, it's Team 3 versus Team 6. So it's definitely worth watching on this one. And you also get to watch Jimmy Butler versus Kawhi Leonard. Both are similar type of players. Both are great overall basketball players. And they'll probably be matched up against each other majority of the night.
That'll definitely be an interesting matchup for sure.
All right. Moving on. On Tuesday, December 1st, welcome to December, at 7 on League Pass, which I don't know if it'll stay on League Pass just because of the ramifications of last night. But it's the Lakers at Philadelphia. And this is not only a matchup of the two worst ranked teams in our power rankings, it's Kobe coming back to Philly for the last time as a Laker. If you didn't know, he's from Philly. He went to high school in Philly. He's mentioned Philly has a lot to do with his game, his upbringing. And so this is his final time in Wells Fargo Arena in front of that in front of the city of brotherly love and their rabid fan base. So hopefully the Sixers fans pack the arena and show appreciation for Kobe. But someone has to win. It's unbelievable that one of these teams will win this game. So who do you pick to win?
Honestly, this is a tough game. This could possibly be the Sixers' first win, right? So
Yeah, the Sixers have had multiple opportunities the past week to win. They just couldn't close.
they're like terrible in the fourth quarter and at the end of the games. It's just like hard to watch them. They just like try to lose the game, it feels like. But this is tough. I'm gonna go with the Lakers.
Yeah, I agree. I was watching the Lakers game last night, and I tweeted this. I was like, it's almost Lakers games are now almost must watches, even if they're not a good team or even if they're not getting blown out, but even if they're not playing well, just because there's only so many Kobe moments left that you want to watch. You want to watch the ones that could potentially happen. For example, he hit a huge three over Paul George at the end of last night, and I was so excited. I was so happy he made a clutch shot, and then the next time down the court, similar type of shot from like 28 feet, and he airballs it.
Yeah, I saw that.
which is a real bummer. But the excitement after the first shot and the excitement leading up to that second shot, it's a fun watch to watch Kobe possibly win a game for the Lakers nowadays, just because his body's failing, and this could be one of the last few Kobe moments that you have.
Very true. Enjoy them while you can.
Exactly. Moving on, Wednesday, December 2nd at 8 on League Pass, the Raptors at the Hawks.
This is a good matchup too. I think I'm gonna go with the Hawks. Just because I think they're at home. I think they should be able to get the win. They're pretty good at home.
I agree. I'm going with the Hawks as well, for the similar reason that I picked Washington, which obviously didn't work out. But Atlanta's a much better team than Washington. Washington looks like they're free falling right now.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
Toronto will still be missing Jonas Valanciunas, and Paul Millsap for Atlanta has been a beast.
Yeah.
So I don't think Luis Scola is going to be able to handle Paul Millsap anywhere on the court. So I'm going with Atlanta.
Cephalosha's been playing good for Atlanta too because Kent Bazemore's been banged up. So I like him as well.
Yeah, Cephalosha has had some good games. I know he's not a superstar or anything, but he definitely could have made some sort of impact on Atlanta versus Cleveland last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. Does that mean Atlanta wins the series? Probably not, but you can't deny the fact that he would have had some sort of impact in guarding LeBron.
Yeah, he brings a lot on defense. He brings energy, and I think he's improved his scoring too from what we used to see in OKC.
Yeah, he looks good this year. All right, moving on. Thursday, December 3rd, 2015. At 10 p.m., West Coast game on League Pass. It's the Pacers going into the Moda Center to take on the Portland Trailblazers.
I'm going to go with the Pacers. I really like the way they're playing right now. I like the way Paul George is playing and CJ Miles. So I'm going with Indiana.
Yeah, I'm going with Indiana too, but this game should be really fun. It's Indiana's high-powered offense, who really likes to light it up with Paul George, CJ Miles, Monte Ellis, George Hill. All those guys can shoot threes. And then Portland has CJ McCollum, who's been awesome, and Damian Lillard, who's been a top 3, top 5 sort of point guard this year. He's really cemented his place there with his performances this year. So this should be a high scoring and fun up and down game.
Yeah, definitely. Damian Lillard has been nice this year. And like I said, Paul George, CJ McCollum, it should be an exciting game, back and forth.
All right, probably your favorite game on the slate, Friday, December 4th at 7 on ESPN. Brooklyn versus New York in Madison Square Garden.
It doesn't even matter what the game is. I'm going with the Nets.
Okay, it matters for me because I'm not picking the Nets. I'm picking the Knicks at home. I think Carmelo's been ill, but I think he'll be fine by Friday.
He usually plays well against the Nets.
I'm sorry?
He usually plays well against the Nets, Carmelo. So
Yeah, the Nets don't play out that much defense. But the crazy thing is, the Nets almost they had the best chance at beating the Warriors. They had it. They had it on Brook Lopez's fingertips from a foot away, and he just back ironed it.
Yep. And then they almost beat the Cavs this past weekend. They lost to a LeBron game winner. So, I mean, the Nets aren't anything special, but they're not playing terrible basketball. They're at least hanging in games.
Right. I think this will be a fun game. I think that if it was in Brooklyn, I think the crowd would suck because their crowd is terrible. But since it's in Madison Square, I think the atmosphere will be really live, and it'll be a fun game to watch.
Well, regardless, when it's like Nets and the Knicks, even though the Brooklyn doesn't really fill up, all the Knicks fans just buy tickets.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that's
just
true.
full, anyways.
Yeah, bro. I don't know why Brooklyn fans are not into their team. It's like the difference between how passionate the Knicks fans are and how not passionate the Nets fans are is absurd.
Takes time. They need to do something to make them want to go. You know what I mean?
What have the Knicks done in the last 15 years to make anyone want to go to their games?
They got that tradition, I guess.
Yeah, I guess
loyal fans, I guess.
All right, final game. This is a good send-off for games of the week for Week 6. Saturday, December 5th at 8, Cleveland at Miami on NBA TV.
This is going to be a good game. The Heat have been playing pretty good. The Cavs make me nervous a little bit with the way they played against the Nets on Saturday. I think I'm going to go with Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland's the easy choice, but I'm a Miami Heat fan, so I'm going to go with Miami to get them at home. I know these two matched up during the first week of the season, and Cleveland smacked Miami around. But I think this time will be a little bit different. I think this Miami team is better than the one we saw at the beginning of the year. I would say their defense is a lot better. They're still trying to find their offense, but I think Justice Winslow and Luol Deng guarding LeBron James this go around will be a little bit better than the first time, especially for the Rook. So I'm picking Miami in a close one.
I think it'll be a close game. Yeah, definitely Miami's improved since the first week. So,
all right, a quick recap of who we picked. You have San Antonio over Chicago, and I have Chicago over San Antonio. So we disagree there. We both have Los Angeles over Los Angeles Lakers over the Philadelphia 76ers. We both have Atlanta over the Raptors. Both have Indiana outshooting the Portland Trailblazers. You have Brooklyn winning the Battle of the Borough, and I have New York winning the Battle of the Boroughs. And you have Cleveland beating Miami, while I have Miami upsetting Cleveland. So we disagree on 1, 2, 3 games. So this could go either way. You could be up, I could be up at the end of this week.
I feel like I haven't picked the Monday game that's won so far this season, so hopefully I win tonight. But that wraps it up for today. Thank you guys for listening, and check us out next week.
Thanks for listening. Follow us at OTG Basketball on Twitter, and check out the website. Be sure to look at the power rankings. And also, we have the actual rankings page starting probably Tuesday, December 1st, where we rank the top 5 players overall, by position, by skill set. So be sure to check that out.